Thank you for liking my videos and subscribing to my YouTube channel. Please check me out online at trainertroy.com. Practice safely. Namaste. Our breath technique for the month, focusing on the spine and the low back and the pelvic bowl, is breath retention, kumbuka. So as you take a deep breath in, hold the breath and squeeze around the tailbone and squeeze around the throat. When your body instructs you to exhale, relax the throat as you exhale, and then relax the root. Sometimes this is taught in reverse, but I like releasing the throat first so that it sends the energy up. And again, you just breathe naturally, a deep breath into your belly. Hold the breath without creating a struggle. Close the root and then the throat, and it's like a fizzy bottle of soda. As you exhale, release the throat and then the root, letting all of that fizziness come out at the top. Try that a few times on your own, focusing on that root area, the pelvic bowl. Whenever you would like to, release the technique of breath holding, breathing in and out through the nose. On your next breath, tell yourself, thank you for your practice today. We give thanks for each person here who's joining us, whether physically or energetically. And we give thanks for the space that we have to practice in today. Then as you're ready, we'll open the eyes. And since we're working this whole month on the foundation, which is the pelvis and the abdominal area that supports the spine and the low back, we'll start with the feet, because most of us consider our feet to be our foundation. But if you think about it, the feet are actually the post that you would sink down under the foundation. The foundation would be this pelvic bowl, low back area for the spine. But since we consider our feet to be the foundation, we want to give them some attention too. A lot of times we get that tight tendon in the bottom of our foot. I had it from running, called plantar fasciitis. And really what it is inflammation around the tendon. Very rarely is it the actual tendon itself. So getting rid of some of that inflammation, just give your foot a little massage. You can use the heel of your hand, the thumb mound, as a massage tool. You can use a tennis ball, something soft, and trace along the arch of your foot. So from your heel, you want to make sure you're on soft tissue and push gently up towards the big toe mound. Now, right in the middle of the arch is usually where we get our biggest knot. So I have a big knot there, that's my problem foot. So I'm just going to apply a little steady pressure to that knot. If you find a spot that feels more inflamed than the rest of the foot, just push gently on it for a few breaths. Now let's see what the plantar tendon really is. So if you take the foot in flexion, so the top of the foot is moving towards your ankle, and then use the same side hand as your foot. So this is my right foot, my right hand. and use your peace sign fingers in between the big toe, second toe, and pull that big toe back toward the top of the foot. And you usually can see the plantar tendon pop out in the arch area. It looks like a piano string or a guitar string. And so we don't actually want to manipulate the plantar tendon. We want to massage around it to reduce the inflammation. One way to get around that tendon is to use the two knuckles of your other hand. So I bent my fingers and I have the two knuckles, like I was going to knuckle punch somebody, which yogis don't do. and and I'm going to use those two knuckles on either side of the tendon and just massage from my big toe toward the heel. So I got the big toe pulled back, I can see the tendon, and I'm just gently massaging either side. Now the thing about tendons is they don't actually stretch and increase their flexibility. They're going to go back as tight as they were before, but we can give them a little release. So just pull the big toe back towards the top of the foot. And that's why it's called the plantar tendon, because your big toe plants in the ground every time you take a step. Subconsciously, that big toe is digging in the ground, planting in the ground, and that's what moves us forward. So one thing you can also do as you're exercising or running or whatever it is that might be causing your plantar tendon inflammation, just check every time you take a step on that problem foot, are you digging the big toe into your shoe or the ground? Can you step and be a little easy on that big toe, at least while it's inflamed? Now, believe it or not, that big toe tendon is connected to your Achilles heel, so you can't really manipulate around your Achilles heel, but you're just going to massage gently on either side of that Achilles heel. And again, we're trying to find the flesh around the tendon. You can feel it's like a really tight wire, that Achilles heel, and we're just trying to get around it, not on it. Now, for me, what really caused my plantar tendon to inflame was my calf muscle. Lots of knots in the calf muscle. I suggest you get a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball and massage those calf muscles regularly, especially if you're a runner or a tennis player. For now, we're just going to use our hands like we were kneading a loaf of bread. So just massage the calf muscle. You can see it's pretty mobile. You can move those gastrocnemius muscles around quite a bit. Now, I found a huge knot right in the middle of my calf muscle, and so I'm just going to apply some steady pressure to that knot. And your thumbs can get tired doing this. That's why getting a hard lacrosse rubber ball or a tennis ball works really well. That really hurts, but I'm going to keep pushing on it, trying to get that knot to release. And I can slowly feel it dissipating. That knot could have been the reason why my plantar was hurting. And then just flip your hands over so your fingers are pointed down and massage underneath your calf as well. If you find any knots, push on them. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side, but without as much talking. So just find your other foot in front of you, flex the foot, pull the big toe back, hold that. I usually count 10 or 15 seconds whenever I'm holding a stretch. Use your opposite hand thumb or thumb mound to massage along your arch. If you find a big knot, stick on it. Pull that big toe back again so you can expose the tendon, and use the two knuckles from your opposite hand just to massage on either side of that tendon. Oh, there's a big knot in my arch, so I'm going to push on it. And then around your Achilles heel. Our feet are kind of like the tires on our cars. We never really remember to check our tire pressure, but if you do, if you check your tire pressure regularly, which I'm guilty of not doing, but I try to remember, you can save a lot of wear and tear on the car and gasoline, and help yourself to not have a flat tire. So check your tire pressure and check your feet 3 or 4 times a week, especially on our hot days. So around that Achilles heel, and then massage your calf muscle. Oh, there's a giant knot. I'm going to push on it, even though it hurts. And then make sure you get underneath your calf muscle by turning your hands under. Turn on my fan here. All right, now let's swing our legs around behind us. Coming into all fours, tabletop. Here's another way to work that plantar tendon. Tuck your toes and push on that big toe as you look up for cow pose. Inhaling to raise the head and tailbone, then exhale, untuck your toes and stretch your ankles, tops of the foot push down as you exhale to round for a soft kitty cat. Inhale to look up. If you're working your plantar tendon, tuck the toes, push down with big toe, exhale, cat, flat foot. Also focus on that low back. That's our theme for today. Feeling that low back as you lift and as you round. Now a lot of times you'll hear teachers say do a Halloween cat and with their super big arch, and I don't want that today. I just want a gentle cat because we don't want to overdo that low back. Now, instead of arching or rounding, try to stop in the middle. What would a neutral low back look like to you? If I could put a bowl of water on the back of your pelvis, would you be able to keep it there without spilling it? So how would neutral low back, not flat, not rounded, look for you? It's more of a theory than a practical thing. We can't really flatten our back. But if you could, what would that feel like to you? Now, it should feel unnatural. For me, I have to really work my glutes and my inner thighs and pull my belly in tight. And those are the spinal support muscles. So those are the pelvic bowl muscles that we want to engage to support that low back. Then release. We'll sit back child's pose. Take the knees wide. Walk your arms out in front of you. Sit back all the way. Now before you rest, imagine I'm putting a 10-pound sandbag on your low back. So tuck your tailbone under, let it round, and push back and down. At the same time, push the front of your mat forward. Really push with your hands like you're going to rip that mat in half. So really activate the pelvic, SI joint, back of the pelvis, low back, long back muscles, and then take a big breath in and relax in child's. Now let's pull ourselves back up, bringing the knees underneath the hips, walking the hands underneath your shoulders. As a reminder, to protect your wrist from any undue pressure, keep the wrist just in front of your shoulder, and then create a little pod underneath your palm. So a way to feel that is to put your thumb in, and then when you pull your thumb out on the mat, you should still have that space there where your thumb was, so to help out with that wrist. We'll reach the right arm forward, left leg back. Your hand is in a handshake position. Now here's what I want to do for our theme for the month. Pull your leg back like someone's back there pulling it, and then push your hand forward. So super activate the pose. Push with the foot and reach with your hand. Really stretch, stretch, stretch. Now notice your low back. For me, I know I'm dumping in the low back. See if you can find that neutral shape. So I'm not tucked, not rounded. I have to pull in more core, inner thighs and buttocks, in order to find that neutral spine. And release. Same thing, left hand, right leg. Stretch as long as you can like Gumby. Reach, 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 push, push, push. Now notice where's your belly, where's your low back. What do you need to engage to find more of a neutral pelvis, supported spine? And let's release. Focusing on the shoulder, the front shoulder muscle now. Find some traction with the floor. So I'm pushing in the floor like I'm going to put my fingerprints into my mat and make some slow motion circles. It's kind of challenging if you've never done it before, but it's almost like you're going to do a push-up. Circle, circle, circle. Clicks and pops are fine. We just don't want to feel any sharp pain. Backwards. Another way to loosen up our back area, our low back, and to get into our shoulders more is thread the needle. So we'll reach that right hand up, just loosen everything up from being on the floor. And scoop that right arm all the way as far as it'll go to the left, lowering down to the right ear. Now pull the right shoulder away from your ear. So I should be able to stick 3 fingers in between your shoulder and your ear. Let's come out of that and loosen up that shoulder with some big range of motion movements. And here we go. Left arm, loosen it up. Thread it underneath. Push as far over to the left as you can before you put that left ear on the mat. Notice if your left shoulder is creeping up to your ear, try to push it away, down towards your hip. Start to slowly come back out, shake it off. Big range of motion movements. And now we're going to attempt to get both that plantar tendon and our shoulders at the same time. If available, tuck your toes and sit on your heels. If this doesn't work or it's too intense for you, you can sit on a block. And just don't sit on the doggy. You can also sit on your ankles. This is even more intense for those of us who have to sit in chairs all the time. And we'll just do what I call the windshield wiper shoulder stretches. I'm going to tuck my toes because my bottom of my feet are achy. Grab the right elbow, pull it across just like we did thread the needle. Then up, pull that arm back. Now, if available, put the arm behind you. You're going to reach over with the left hand and pull the right arm back. Anytime your feet need a break, just get up and get off your feet and then get back in the game. Same thing, left side. Still getting that toe tuck stretch, bottom of the foot, left arm across. To do this one at home for your shoulders, just think about a windshield wiper, all the positions of a windshield wiper. Up to the sky, you got it, there you go. Perfect. And then behind you, the other hand reaches around and pulls that arm down, getting the front of your delt to stretch. So notice if your shoulder that you're stretching is slumping forward, try to send it back. And then we'll release for down dog, walk those hands forward. Walk the feet back. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, send the hips back to down dog. Now let's do our down dog check. I know for myself, my down dog's always too short. Come forward to plank pose. Adjust yourself like you were going to do a push-up. Now let's check back in with our low back theme. You want to try to look like a plank of wood. So most of us forget to use our leg muscles. Squeeze your inner thighs and push back through your heels. Then send your hips high over the heels. Now let's activate our down dog. Good doggy. Stretch your front of your mat forward like you're trying to rip your mat in half. And then send your hips high behind you, sinking those heels. Activate. The heels do not have to touch, but lift high, push back, rip the front of your mat in half. Big breath in. Now check your low back. Is it rounded or arched? Can you move that pelvis more towards that neutral shape? Then loosen up all your joints and move your dog around. Happy dog going for a walk. And then we'll start to slowly walk our feet up towards our hands, stopping wherever you need to stop. Bring the hands up, holding your elbows, keep your knees soft, drop your head, and ragdoll moving left and right, just shaking out that low back. Holding the elbows protects the low back, but if your back's feeling pretty healthy today, let your arms move around freely. Now let's talk about how to stand up. That's what the halfway lift is for. We always do in yoga. So you want to push on the shins or the floor if you're flexible, but you actually want to be able to push on the floor, or that yoga block if you have one. And I want you to stop at halfway and come into a very slight back bend. So my knees are micro bent, but my arms are straight. Send your hips back like you're going to fall backwards, so your toes are almost coming up off the mat. And at the same time, I'm pulling your head forward. So 3 things are happening. You're pushing with the hands, the knees are soft, but the hips are sending themselves backwards and your head's moving in the opposite direction. Now in order to do this without your hands, with the knees bent for back protection, you'd have to engage your inner thighs, squeeze your buttocks, and pull that belly button in as tight as you can. So with bent knees, come up to standing from there. With that supported low back. Beautiful. Reach those arms up and overhead. Looking up for a slight back bend. Slowly bring your hands to your heart for namaste. Then let's release our hands outside our thighs for resting mountain. Closing the eyes, take in a huge breath. Now don't fix anything, but totally sigh it out and completely relax. Eyes are closed, not fixing anything, just completely relaxed. And now notice, without opening your eyes, totally relaxed, not fixing anything, where did your body posture go? I know for myself, I'm digging into my right hip, my shoulders are slumping forward, my neck's going forward, and my belly's hanging out over my pant line. So now as you open the eyes, let's do this little trick. Put one hand on your belly and one hand on your low back. Arch your back, let your belly hang out, nobody can see. Then tuck your tailbone, round your low back, arch, yummy pumpkin pie, and then round your back, arch, round, stop in the middle. Not arched, not rounded. Like I said, it's more of a theoretical idea than an actual practicum, but we're trying to get that idea into play here so that we have more of a natural shape in our spine. Now feel what muscles you have to be in the middle. For me, I have to really pull up in my pelvic bowl around the tailbone and my inner thighs and my buttocks, and my belly has to suck in. Now relax your hands at your side, but try to maintain that neutral. Should feel awkward and weird. That's where we want to try to remind ourselves to go to throughout the day. Can't be there all day long, but the more we can catch ourselves and pull ourselves back to neutral, the safer low back we'll have. Now let's make it harder by putting it into motion. So we'll inhale, arms overhead, little arch in your back. Exhale, forward fold, looking through the legs, rounded back. Inhale, halfway lift, soft knees, engage inner thighs, buttocks, and belly. Then inhale, continue to come up to standing. So we're taking out that extra forward fold we normally do in sun salutations. Exhale, hands to the heart. Check in, neutral pelvis, neutral low back. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, rounded back. Inhale, halfway up, pause. Soft knees, engage core muscles. Keep inhaling up to standing, supporting your spine. And exhale, hands to the heart. One more time. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, rounded forward. Inhale, halfway up. Soft knees. Continue to inhale up to standing. Exhale, namaste, hands to the heart. A lot of times you'll hear us teachers say, roll up one vertebra at a time, and the last thing to come up is your head. That's very dangerous for the low back if you have any back issues, because it's like a whip. It's like Indiana Jones's whip. As you roll up your spine, dragging your 9-pound head, the low back has to do all of the work. So we want to make sure we don't do that, especially if we have any low back issues. We want to actually come up with that spine supported, engaging those core muscles as we rise. So make sure you keep that in mind. Now let's make life even harder. Put more of this into action. Hold on to the hips. Getting ready for Warrior One. We'll have our right foot at the front of the mat. Step your left foot back 3.5 to 4 feet. Now, if you hold onto your hips, stick your index fingers out. We want both of those fingers to point straight ahead. That's why this back foot needs to be turned in more than out. A lot of times we get stuck in the Warrior Two foot, and then that index finger is going to be playing tug of war with the other one. We can't go forward. Here's the advantage of turning that foot in more than out. We get a very unique psoas stretch through our hip, and that psoas muscle, which connects the front to the back, is one of the major causes of low back pain. So both fingers point straight ahead. Now check in with your pelvis. For me, I know my fingers are going to point to the ground because I'm going to dump that belly forward. Can you move the pelvis more to neutral? It should take a lot more muscle than our normal Warrior One. Now let's make life more challenging. Raise those arms. As soon as the hand gets distal from the low back, we feel more pull on that low back. Can you find neutral even with your arms up in Warrior One? More of a challenge? Movement. Straighten the legs, circle the arms. Inhale, Warrior One. Exhale, back and around. Inhale, Warrior One. Exhale, back and around. Inhale, Warrior One. Freeze. Check your low back. Check your pelvis. Bring hands to the hips. Step up towards the front of your mat and turn the right foot out for tree. We'll step on the left ankle, and as we talked about all last month in the joints focus, this left hip's going to want to take over, so it's going to want you to dump that pelvis. Holding onto the hips, try to bring that pelvis level and check your low back. Not arched, not rounded before you raise the foot and raise the arms. Move around, make it harder. Now freeze in your tree. Check your low back, check your pelvis. Slowly release. Okay, we'll get ready for the other side. So we'll put our left foot at the front of the mat, and then we'll do this side without so much of my talking. Just trying to make it practical for you. Holding onto the hips for awareness. Left foot at the front, right foot steps back 3.5, 4 feet. Check your hips. Straight ahead, front knee over ankle. Raise your arms. Check your low back and pelvis. Add in motion. Inhale, straighten the legs, circle the arms. 1, 2, 3. Freeze in Warrior One. Check your back, pelvis. Hands through the heart to the hips. Step up to the front of your mat. Turn left foot out. Find your tree. Raise the arms. Check in with your posture as you move around. Now check that big toe, since we were talking about plantar fasciitis. Are you digging that big toe in? Can you loosen up on that big toe? Freeze your tree and check your posture. And we'll slowly release. Shake it off. So upper body affects the lower body. Let's interlace fingers behind our back. Roll the shoulders back. Look up. Now looking down, stretch across the top of the shoulders, roll your shoulders back instead of forward, feeling those shoulders. Bend the knees, belly on the thighs to protect your low back, lift the hands. Release the hands by the feet, shake off. Coming down slowly to your mat. Kick your legs out in front of you. One of the other culprits for our low back and for those tight calves and maybe our Achilles heel is those hamstrings. So walk your hips back, trying to get down to the origin of the hamstring. And if this doesn't work, you can always sit on the edge of a block. Now look at your feet. If you relax and your big toes come towards you, then the inner thighs are tight. You need to give more attention to those inner thighs. If you relax and your big toes go away from you, your outer thighs are more tight. You need to give more attention to your outer thighs. So just notice that. That gives you an indication of where you need to stretch more. But for now, try to bring both toes together. We'll inhale, reach tall, and exhale, try to maintain that flat back as you go forward over your feet. Keep that back flat, neutral, as you go forward, forward, forward. Feel like someone's pulling your hands forward. That's it. Just lift through the chest a little bit more. Don't round down yet. Just lift up. You got it. There you go. Reach, reach, reach. Big breath in. Now your back's saying, I can't go further anymore unless I round down. Then exhale, round down. If you don't have your toes, use a strap around the ball of your foot. Instead of just sitting up, let's simulate walking. So right, left, right, left. How are my hips affecting my back? As you come up, let's bring our right foot with us and leave our left leg out to the side. Reach the right arm overhead towards your left little toes. Last month we talked about the ribs and how they connect to the spine and they affect our back. But for now, I want you to actually go lower, reaching around behind you. Find the part of the hip that connects way low by the low back, the QL muscle, this triangular muscle really low here. A lot of times that QL is very tight. So go forward, go back a little. It's responsible for our twisting and our side crunching. And when that's tight, it can pull on that low back. As you sit up, bend that or bring that bent knee towards you, hugging the knee in for an easy twist. Slowly releasing, switching sides. Left foot in, right leg out. Find your lateral lean and play around deep down by the hip. Low back connection. As you sit up, find your easy twist. Just a nice, gentle twist. Slowly coming out of that twist, let's open up those tight hips and inner thighs. Scooting down your mat for cobbler's pose. We're about ready to wrap up. Push those knees down. Sit up tall. We want to strengthen those core muscles to support that low back, and one of the best ways to do that is with reverse crunch, probably the most efficient core exercise next to a plank. But we'll do what I call a slow motion reverse crunch. Holding onto the back of the legs, lean back with a C shape in your spine. Feel the crunch. Try to get shaky, so you're leaning back enough that you're about ready to fall. Safety first. Then lift the right foot. Left foot. Keep that shaking happening. You're almost going to fall down. Release your right hand. Squeeze that core in. Remember, it's your inner thighs, buttocks, and your belly. Left hand. Try to straighten right leg. Your hands are there if you need them. Just grab those legs. Left leg. Keep breathing. Hold the crunch. Now let's reverse it. Bend the right knee. You got this. Here we go. Left knee. Hold the back of the right leg. Hold the back of the left leg. Keep it going. Put your right foot down. Keep breathing. Squeeze. Left foot down. Squeeze. And then slowly release. And immediately pop up into a bridge to stretch that core. And now that you're fatigued, check your bridge. Can you move that pelvis into neutral? Not rounded, not arched. Then slowly lower your bridge and extend your legs away. Arms at your side, palms up. So as you rest in Shavasana here, where I'll leave you today, just contemplate how can you start to incorporate some of these ideas into your everyday life. So we can't walk around in neutral spine the whole day, but we can catch ourselves when we're on the phone or when we're eating at the dinner table or maybe even driving. Am I slipping into my old posture habit, which develops over time? It's not anybody's fault. And can I move back towards that neutral pelvis, supported spine, safe low back? Can I spend some time working on my foundation, the foundation in the pelvis and the foundation in the feet throughout my week? Just think about ways to fit in today's yoga into your everyday life as you rest as long as you can in Shavasana. Just stay there until you absolutely have to get up. Namaste.
Hi, I'm Yogi Troy Cox. I've been practicing meditation and teaching yoga for 20 years. My yoga teacher, Amrit Desai, says that yoga is popular, but what's popular is not yoga. I like to emphasize the fact that safety first is important in any new endeavor, and particularly in yoga. You should make sure that your yoga teacher is qualified and certified and has been practicing teaching many different types of bodies and students so that you are practicing safe yoga under their guidance. Safety first. Pay attention to your body and listen to it. I come from a lineage of teachers who believe in yoga postures. They follow and approach the idea that the body should lead you into the postures. Your body's never wrong. It'll never lead you astray. Your body wants you to be healthy and safe. Listen to your body when practicing yoga. So find me online. You can Google Yogi Troy, check out my website or Facebook, give me a call, and let me teach you safe yoga. I've taught yoga around the world, and I'd love to teach safe yoga to you.